Evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. The TTC is pulling the plug on free public Wi-Fi at the end of the year. It says the technology used for its T-Connect system has reached the end of the line. Dale Manukduk explains why there are no plans to replace it.
Next station is...
No need to rush, public announcer. Watching Netflix's Love is Blind over here. Streaming your favorite content while riding the subway, that's just a normal thing these days.
I have unlimited plans, I just use it.
Jaden Goy knows that having unlimited data isn't a privilege everyone can afford.
There's a lot of people who don't have data and they get stuck in the situations. I know my girlfriend, she has a limited data cellular plan or whatever. And yeah, she's always running out.
Well, better save up while riding the TTC because by the end of the year, free public Wi-Fi will no longer be a thing.
Which is unfortunate.
This man says he connects to it all the time.
I think it's important to have free internet. It's kind of like a crucial thing just in case an emergency happens.
Right now, free public Wi-Fi is available at all TTC stations on the T-Connect system. The TTC says it would cost $17 million to upgrade the infrastructure.
We know that right now about 2% of trips on the subway system are logging into this system. It's a very small number of people using this system, and it would be a very large cost to keep it going. We believe that $17 million would be better spent on service and safety.
The TTC says that the free public Wi-Fi system has issues when it comes to reliability and performance, and it's vulnerable to cyber attacks. The transit agency also says they've seen a 65% drop in usage since 5G connectivity was added to the network.
That happened last year when Rogers bought the company running the Wi-Fi, which it was doing for free, supported by advertising. Rogers is installing a modern 5G network throughout the TTC for all carriers, which means more reliable service, but
not everyone can afford a cell phone plan and afford data. The TTC is a place where hundreds of thousands of people pass through every day. We should be expanding public Wi-Fi there, not cutting it.
At least one city councillor who sits on the TTC board says he's going to fight to keep internet access free.
Neither Rogers or the TTC spent any time actually exploring how to ensure that there'd be good quality free public Wi-Fi for Torontonians in our subway stations. And I think that Torontonians deserve better.
The TTC says for those needing free public Wi-Fi access, there are thousands of secure, reliable connection points across the city. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
A man is dead after a stabbing this morning at Lakeshore and Islington. Police say a second person also suffered stab wounds but hasn't turned up at any hospital. Ali Chesson has the latest on the hunt for suspects.
At exactly 6 a.m., you can see two people fighting. One of them collapses. A couple minutes later, more people join. They check the victim's pockets and walk off. This all went down in front of cars driving by and a streetcar.
You had a look at surveillance footage, right? And what did it show?
We did. So it showed a few people making their way down towards our storefront, and that's where it kind of ended. That's where the male, I'm assuming, collapsed right in front of the store.
The footage from this woman's bridal shop is too graphic to show.
Fire and the paramedics come and are resuscitating, and that they take him away. And so, yeah, it's sad to hear of the outcome.
The man would be pronounced dead in hospital, and there's a second victim.
We are concerned for the potential safety of. We've been advised that a second male also suffered some stab wounds. We're concerned for that individual as he has not made himself known to us.
That second victim is crucial in this investigation. Not only is there a concern for their safety, but they could be a key witness here. Police would also have to rule out whether they were a suspect themselves.
We've had issues multiple times.
This woman in the salon didn't feel comfortable going on camera since the suspects are still out there.
I mean, what's going through your head? It's just so violent.
It is, again, saying that there's kids that go to school here. So if it happened a couple hours later, there's kids that are walking here by themselves that are in grade 4 or 5 that walk. I see them every morning at lunchtime after school. It would have been a horrible scene for a kid to see, or even anybody else, right? So it's scary.
It's shaking. It's nerve-wracking because it's so close to home. It's, literally feet from my home. So it will makes me, be very vigilant about my surroundings. I know a lot of people in the area, so I'm hoping that it isn't somebody that I know personally.
Investigators remain on scene more than 12 hours later, looking for footage and potential witnesses as they track down these suspects. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
2 people are dead in Kingston after they were attacked at an encampment around that city's supervised injection site.
The assaults took place in various locations, so we do have a couple scenes on the go in the area.
Police were called to the area around Bell Park just after 10:30 this morning following reports of an assault. Investigators say they found 2 men and a woman who were seriously injured, as well as a male suspect. They believe both an edged weapon and a blunt weapon were used in the attacks. The victims were rushed to hospital in critical condition, where 2 of them died. The 3rd victim remains in hospital tonight with life-threatening injuries. The threat of an Air Canada pilot strike is growing tonight, and with it, concerns about all the flight cancellations that would follow, upending hundreds of thousands of business trips and vacation plans. Peter Cowan has a look at where negotiations stand and the pressure to reach a deal.
Most people arriving on the island of Newfoundland do so by air, and the majority fly Air Canada. But now, even before starting their vacation, visitors aren't sure how it'll end.
It's quite worrisome because I'm here and how will I get back? It's a little far to walk.
The union representing pilots can issue a 72-hour strike notice as of Sunday. A lockout notice is also possible. Air Canada says it'll have to start winding down flights in anticipation as early as Friday. A strike would ground all flights by Wednesday. Already, pilots have set up a strike headquarters in Toronto. Wages remain one of the big issues. The pilots are looking for a big increase to close the gap with their American counterparts.
I'm cautiously optimistic. The last week or so seems to have been productive at the negotiating table. As you can see here, we're ready for any eventuality.
But Air Canada is warning the federal government may need to step in if a deal isn't reached.
We have accepted changes to over 70% of the collective bargaining agreement, but we are now faced with unreasonable wage demands that unfortunately we cannot meet.
The tourism industry is also on edge and putting pressure on government.
A labor disruption in air travel won't just leave people stranded, it will ripple through the economy, hitting small business owners who are already struggling to make it.
The best deals happen at the bargaining table.
The federal government is still hoping this will be resolved through negotiation, not arbitration, but some travelers aren't waiting to find out. Back in Newfoundland, hotels are getting an increase in cancellations.
We're not going to be able to get the opportunity to make up this business. So, and for many of us, it's the profit.
Air Canada is letting passengers change their flights for free. If your flight is canceled, Air Canada says you'll get a full refund. Peter Cowan, CBC News, St. John's.
The Toronto International Film Festival has announced it is pausing upcoming screenings of the controversial film Russians at War.
Сегодня мы выдвигаемся на фронт.
The documentary was shown to industry members on Tuesday, with the public premiere scheduled for tomorrow. The film's director says it's meant to be a depiction of the disillusionment of Russian soldiers in the war with Ukraine, but many in the Ukrainian Canadian community are calling it Russian propaganda. Earlier this week, TVO's board of directors revoked its support and walked back its initial defense of the film. Now, yesterday, a spokesperson for TIFF said the documentary shouldn't be viewed as propaganda, but in a statement this afternoon, a festival spokesperson said they've been made aware of significant threats to festival operations and public safety, adding that this decision has been made in order to ensure the safety of all festival guests, staff, and volunteers. They called it an incredibly difficult decision and said they are committed to screening it when it is safe to do so. And meanwhile, the producers of the film released a statement calling the situation heartbreaking and that they call on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to fully investigate this affront from within a sovereign government to our democratic values and a free media. Welcome back. Toronto ranks among the most congested cities in the world, but Mayor Olivia Chow and several city councillors were out today touting what they're calling successful measures aimed at reducing the gridlock. Clara Pasica has more.
There's no debate that Toronto has a lot of traffic. And here at Front and Spadina, it can be one busy place. But if you're thinking that traffic is getting worse and worse in the City of Toronto, according to city staff, that's just not the case.
So we use what we call a travel time index as our measure of congestion around the city. And quite frankly, the data is basically showing us that it's relatively consistent. It's consistently bad, but it's not getting worse.
And in some places, it's getting better. Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow, speaking on Spadina Avenue today, says measures the city is taking to tackle congestion in some locations are working.
That means drivers traveling eastbound on Lakeshore Boulevard are now able to turn onto Spadina to go north, which really helps the traffic in the Gardner. Thousands of vehicles are making this left turn, and travel time for people using the Gardner has reduced by 5 to 18 minutes.
If you've been traveling through the core at rush hour, you've probably noticed a success story the mayor is particularly proud of.
We deployed our secret weapon. Who are they? Well, they are our traffic agent. Aha! The traffic agent is amazing. You see them behind us, and they are miracle workers. The traffic, the streetcar on King Street is now moving 3 times faster.
The city says its temporary dedicated bus lane here on Spadina is also speeding up TTC commutes while the streetcar route is undergoing repair. And it's not slowing down cars trying to travel along this route. But for all the successes that the city is touting today, the city acknowledges that traffic is still a problem in this city. They're encouraging people to bike, walk, or take the TTC to be part of the solution. Clara Pasica, CBC News, Toronto.
28 workers at the Ontario Science Centre are set to lose their jobs by October 31st. The attraction abruptly closed this summer due to structural issues with the building's roof.
I just want to get a new one built as quickly as possible. And, you know, we'll find jobs for those people within the system. So we'll help them out.
The Science Centre terminated its cleaning services agreement with the Dexterra Group, triggering this layoff notice. This is the second round of layoffs at the Science Centre. More than 50 food service workers lost their jobs back in June, just days after the province shut down the building. And we are 1 week away from the provincial by-election in Bay of Quinte. The vote was triggered after former Education Minister Todd Smith left provincial politics last month. Opposition parties now hoping to take advantage of the exit of a popular local politician. Queen's Park reporter Lorenda Redekop has more on what is shaping up to be a pivotal by-election.
It's Farmers Market Day in downtown Belleville. 3 different vendors all say they'll be voting in next week's by-election. So what's the main issue?
Somewhere to live. That's the biggest.
Housing.
Homeless.
They gotta get this homelessness thing under control. You know, get the people off the street, find them something to do, find them something, some kind of little job.
Main issue, healthcare, housing, homeless people, all of that, you know. Everything's getting more expensive.
Belleville is the largest city in this riding. Back in February, the city declared a state of emergency due to overdoses, 23 in 2 days. Also in winter, mayors from the area pleaded for more help from the province on health care. The mayor estimating 15,000 residents don't have a family doctor.
That's the struggle, and it's really sad when you hear that people haven't had a doctor for 6, 7, 8 years. Ford's failed for the last 6 years, and I know what's resonating with people.
The Liberal team is hoping it can pull off an upset. Candidate Sean Kelly is a Belleville City Councillor and local radio host.
Going out again. We're going out your running shoes.
He's also friends with Todd Smith, who held the seat for 11 years for the PCs. Before that, also a local radio broadcaster. Over at NDP headquarters, candidate Amanda Robertson meets with a local resident. Robertson is a school board trustee, her husband a family doctor. She says the doctor shortage is what she hears about most.
People are frustrated with Doug Ford and his privatization of services, his cuts to our public institutions. I want to be able to try to bring real solutions for people here in the Bay of Quinte.
The Green candidate is upfront about how she ended up on the ballot.
We had very little time to find a candidate. So there's not a lot of people that were willing to just throw their hat in the ring.
All the parties had to move quickly, with Premier Ford calling the snap by-election less than a week after Todd Smith vacated his seat. The president of the local Greens turned candidate is trying pop-ups in local parks to hear concerns.
There's a lack of affordable rental housing. There's a lack of affordable houses being built.
PC candidate Tyler Alsop didn't respond to interview requests, though the Belleville City Councillor did take part in a recent online debate, already repeating the party slogans.
We've also, in the last year, built more purpose-built rentals than at any time in Ontario's history. We've made a goal, we've committed to it, and we are getting it done for the people of Ontario. And that's the end of the story.
Back at the farmers market, here's how the vendors plan to vote.
I think it's a BC town. Conservatives, we're all conservatives, hoping for the best. You know, wouldn't you say?
Most of the time I vote Liberal, so I think we'll give Sean Kelly a try and see, because I listen to him on the radio.
NDP. They're looking into health and that's a big thing for me because I'm 63.
Whoever wins this by-election, they might not hold the seat for long, with Premier Doug Ford considering going to the polls early, possibly as soon as next spring. Lorenda Radicomp, CBC News.
A group of athletes and actors descended on Regent Park today, showing off their dribbling skills in a charity basketball game. Among those in attendance, 7-time Olympic medalist Andre Degrass, who took a break from the track to help raise money for cancer research. Our Greg Ross was there.
They were there for a fun game of basketball. But Andre Degrass still had the competitive juices flowing at the expense of his teammates on the track from the men's 4x100 meter relay team that won gold in Paris this summer.
Oh no, I'm the better out of the four guys.
It's nothing like that, but we'll see today.
Whether or not Degrass is the best basketball player is still not clear, but there's no doubt he was the most popular with the kids who gathered to watch him play in this charity game.
I'm happy to be here. It's a huge honor, and yeah, if I was a kid, I would have loved this opportunity to meet, one of my favorite athletes. So I'm just happy to be there for them and get a chance to, interact with them.
Funds raised from this event went to support cancer research at Princess Margaret Hospital.
The research that we do benefits all Canadians and, in fact, people globally.
It's a cause that hits home for Mayor Olivia Chow, who was also there to lend her support.
I felt the devastating impact of cancer in my life. I've had cancer, no problem. My late husband died of cancer.
It's also a very personal cause for actor-producer Emmanuel Kabongo, who organized this event. His mother is battling cancer and is being treated at Princess Margaret Hospital.
We're all affected directly or indirectly by this disease. And so to bring together people in entertainment, whether it's basketball, sports, film and TV, acting, performers, they all love this game and they all want to support and give back.
Kabongo was born and raised in Regent Park. He says in addition to raising funds for cancer, he was able to support his community.
Hopefully we can build these kids into being the next superstars. And even without that, sport, teaches so much lessons and so many different skills that they're transferable into regular life.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Let's go to Colette now with a check on the forecast. And Colette, we are getting close to the weekend and it's looking pretty good.
It is looking good. This pattern is going to be holding into the weekend and then even beyond. So you can start, making your plans, everybody. For a time today, it felt like 28 degrees in Toronto. That was the humidex value. Other communities in southern Ontario had humidex values into the low 30s. In terms of the high, it was actually right around 24 degrees, but 26 27 for Kitchener and London, and Windsor popped up to 28. So really significant, running, 5-6 degrees in some cases above seasonal for this time of year. And then this is called the precipitation outlook, but really I'm not anticipating any. This pattern ahead is a very dry pattern that we're going through, even though maybe there's some moisture in the air and the stickiness you feel with that humidity. And because of that and the longer nights that we have now, the sun setting just after 7:30, it does mean we can get into some fog development. So especially closer to the lakeshore, a little bit may start to kind of develop here, even coming around towards the downtown core just early in the morning, and then the sun comes out and burns that off. So that's for tomorrow morning. And if I roll this forward towards Saturday morning, another patch where we could have some fog in there. And so if you're early on the roads, you might have some visibility issues, but again, it should be gone pretty quickly, and otherwise you have lots of sunshine. Now, something about that sunshine, though, is yes, we do have some haziness. Some of the sunsets, a little brighter, and some haziness in our skies, not just clear blue. That has to do with some of the smoke in the atmosphere. So much of it in the upper atmosphere, but we do have some near the surface. That should be actually improving, but a few areas like from the Bruce Peninsula, stretching over towards the Ottawa Valley, may have a little bit more of that kind of hanging on a bit longer as we head towards the weekend and towards Saturday there. Why the changes? Well, we know we're into this pattern with this big ridge protecting us and giving us the nice and unseasonably warm weather, getting into more of a trough, though, in the west. So some of that smoke that's coming off the fires, the wildfires in California, we'll see that being tampened down a little bit with a cooler pattern and a slightly wetter pattern as well, which will be welcome there. For us tonight, we're talking about 15 degrees, a few areas of fog, light winds. 28, I might be a little optimistic there, but 28 feeling like low 30s tomorrow. Saturday, slightly cooler, still 5 degrees above seasonal, and Sunday 27, and there you see it, Kelda. It carries on to next week.
That looks good to me. Thanks so much, Colette.
You're welcome.